going to be here. Would you like for me to do a roll call?
Yes.
Okay. So, Sandra,
Present.
Tanya,
Here.
Danielle,
Here.
Linda,
Present.
Stephanie,
Here.
Kelvin,
Here.
Maurice,
Here.
Glenda.
Uh-oh.
I think you're muted, Glenda.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay. And Tosh.
Present.
All right. So we have a quorum, and we can get started with tonight's meeting.
Okay, so Felicia emailed the minutes from, I'm sorry, December? No, last month?
November. The last time we had a quorum was back in November,
Okay.
and so those will be the minutes that we need to approve.
Does anyone need, I need a motion to accept the minutes.
I move to accept the minutes from November's meeting.
Second.
Okay, so we have the motion, all in favor? Oh, I'm out of practice, man, it's been like 4 months. Okay, so we have an agenda in front of us. I already had a question about the marker memorial policy, and that was just an update from what the council, if they reviewed it or whatever, that's why it's still here. And then I believe the Herman Park Roses is more, again, an update on where it's at for the planting. And then, of course, we have new members, the chair, co-chair. There's nothing in the bylaws. I don't have a co-chair right now. And I have been chair for a year, so if anyone else would like the opportunity, you are more than welcome to say so at that point. And then we want to finish the bulk of the meeting, I'm hoping, will be on 2021 projects and stuff to get us focused on doing something in the community and in our parks. And then anything anyone would like to bring up. I have a motion to accept the agenda.
I move that we accept the agenda with explanation.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, so accepted. All right, so the first part is you, Felicia, with what's going on?
Okay, so to quickly, I guess, go back in history a little bit, update everyone regarding the Herman Park Roses. So back in, I believe it was September of last year, we ended up having to pull the roses up, which was around the fountain, because they got a disease, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's called rose rosette disease, where it was like a mite that had infected the roses, and so all the roses had to be pulled up. With that said, we were looking to replant probably here in the next week or so, but we were looking at planting something different, because if you look up information on rose rosette disease, what they tell you is once you have it and you pull up the roses, no matter how much digging and pulling up you do, you probably want to wait at least 2 to 3 years before you plant roses in that area again, because they may become infected. Saying all of that, we actually had a private benefactor that paid for the roses to go there, and that same benefactor is paying for roses to go back. They understand, yeah, they understand that they may become infected again, but they're actually working with the nursery, one of the local nurseries in town, and they're going to come and plant roses around the fountain again, like I said, probably for the next 2 weeks to a month, I think.
Is there something that can help prevent that from coming back?
Depends on what you read. The best thing I could find was, I think someone has shared that they were able to prevent it from coming back by, I guess, pretty much spraying the roses every day, like pretty much sleeping with the rose, like being a rose whisperer, and we do not have the staff that can be with that rose 24 hours a day, because they're talking like in their own private
Right.
garden.
That's hard to do if it is in your own yard.
Right. So, but like I said, but working with the nursery, they're trying to, I guess, look and see what type of, I guess, sturdy stock they have. But the thing with it is, because it's such a small mite, it's not like
Yeah.
it's not like a ladybug like you can see. It's even smaller than
Oh,
that.
wow.
And from
Like
the
an
way,
aphid or
from the way
something.
they describe the disease.
Are they open to alternatives?
Well, we were looking at trying to do
yeah.
something else. But like I said, the information we found, they're like, because once you have it, you may, the mite may have, I guess, wormed itself in, I guess that's the best way to say it, and so it may be around for a couple of years, so you're best with trying to plant something different. But like I said, they're wanting to do roses, they understand what, the issue is, they understand that they may get pulled up again within 2 to 3 years, but hate to sound crass, but it's their money. I mean,
I understand, absolutely. I just hate to see all that work go
Yeah.
into it and that
Yeah.
might happen. So just out of curiosity, whatever this mite is, would it not affect if it was a different type of flower?
It's just for the
Roses.
yeah.
What, and they won't just like do a test plant where there's 4 beds? We can't just do 2 of them and put vincas in the other 2, or they want to just go for it all the way in? No?
Want to go for roses?
And who is the nursery advising them? Do we know?
I'm trying to remember. I think Casey.
Something told me to.
It's one of the local nurseries.
Just what?
That would be the one I would trust, so they
Get a
know.
couple of years out of it, then maybe we'll get lucky.
Right, right. I mean, like I said, it may have, worked this way through, but it's, like I said, it's just the articles that we read, and this is coming from, North Carolina Cooperative Extension, the horticultural articles. They would rather be safe than sorry. They're trying to prevent people from having more heartache, because they're like, you dig up the roses, and the first thing you want to do is plant roses in its place, is like, it may still be in the soil. Now, that said, we pulled them up in September, and here we are in March, so that
Maybe
may
we'll
actually
get
help
lucky.
us out a little bit, because it's,
Maybe the
Not
roses
been
are
there.
special to the benefactor, we might as well see. They're paying for it.
Okay. Did the marker memorial, anybody have anything else on that? Did the marker memorial policy go before the council?
it has not gone before the council yet. And I know, because, last time, we actually didn't have a quorum, and I was waiting for us to have a quorum to see if there were any more additions or anything, because I think last time we had a quorum, we were discussing it, and I said, I'll send it out, see if anybody has anything else they wanted to add, and didn't hear anything else. So, like I said, now that we have the quorum here, to make sure that there's, nothing else you all want to add, and then I'll seek to have a discussion with council to see what their thoughts are with our additions or revisions.
Tanya, currently it states that you have to be like 70 and have lived in Goldsboro for most of your life, blah, blah, and we made the recommendation to remove the age so that if someone wanted to do a memorial for a child, and then basically that they were a citizen is the requirement now.
Okay, great idea.
That was our recommendation. Okay.
Do we need a motion to send it to council, or we good?
No, we're not making
Yeah,
any
right?
changes, so
Yeah.
we're good. It can go, which is where we were kind of already. All right, new business. So we have 2 new members. Tanya is one of them. Do you want to say anything? I hate putting you on the spot with the
Hi.
introduction. I know, it's like.
I know several people here. I've lived in Goldsboro most of my life. I'm a practicing attorney here in town, and I love the city.
Cool. And why Parks and Rec?
Because I have a young child. I have a 4-year-old. And parks are important at all ages, but that's a particularly fun age for the park. So we've gotten a lot of great things out of Parks and Rec. Personally, I have a 25-year-old daughter who also got good things out of Parks and Rec, and so I was hoping to give back and help make changes if changes are needed.
Cool, welcome. I won't make everybody else introduce themselves to you. We'll just do it afterwards. And we do have a new high school student. She has been involved. She just could not attend tonight because of tutoring. Which brings us to the last of the nitty-picky business, which is the chair, co-chair. So, who was the co-chair?
I believe you had a vice chair, and that was Dana.
Dana was the, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not co-chair, it's supposed to be vice chair, sorry. There's nothing in the bylaws that says how long a chair is supposed to be. So, I was nominated as the chair going into last year. I am happy to continue. I am happy to not continue if anyone would like the opportunity to serve. Either way, I do need a vice chair for if the chair is absent. So to have anyone that wants to serve as the chair.
You seem to be doing a great job.
Well, me and Felicia took care of a few things, and she's gonna start helping with stuff, so.
I will be interested in being the vice chair.
In the vice chair, would anybody else be interested in the vice chair?
I nominate
Yeah,
Joe.
that's right.
I hear, I don't think, is it a second? Yeah, do I get a second?
Second.
All right, let me just make sure. Does anyone else want to serve? The vice chair, basically, if I'm absent, they run the meeting, the agenda. Okay, all in favor of Calvin being the co-chair, the vice chair, I keep saying it.
I've worked with Kelvin, he'll do a great job.
He's in, like Flynn. All right, now to the heart of what I want to talk about. So the 2021 projects we have so far are my pet baby, of course, the dog park. I have 3 babies, what can I say? They're all furry. We also have Glenda, kind of your baby, which is the walkway. And like I don't know if everybody saw Glenda's email, but she was like, the stripings, and it was very specific stuff. So I was thinking that could become more of a, maybe we rotate and once a month we have a working, evening or Saturday or something where we're doing, or once a quarter, maybe that's a project where we're, hey, shout out to the community who wants to come down and help us, clean up trash along the Stony Creek, what is the stupid trail called?
We have several,
Hospital.
but the overall is called the Greenway, but if you're talking about behind the hospital, it's Reedy Branch.
Reedy Branch, the Reedy Branch Trail. Anytime I say Glenda, that's like her baby to me, so. Maybe that's a project versus, the striping of the crosswalks like she was saying. Or maybe safety in the parks is the project where we're looking at all the parks for lighting and crosswalks and just things that we can do and like we can get behind. Another would be, our 10-year plan hasn't been done for 10 years, right?
It's been less than 10 years, so, no, well, we have a master plan, and then we updated the master plan. The master plan was last updated in 2012, 2013. So it's close to time for it to be, I would say, updated as opposed to starting from new all over again, but as far as like an updated master plan.
So maybe, something along those lines, and that might just be, going before the council and trying to get funds to do it right for in 2022, or, it can be, I'm just trying to throw out ideas, obviously they're all mine. Just something so that when we're sitting in this meeting, we have something more than, Felicia, what are the updates? We've got stuff happening that we're doing outside the meetings. Does anyone have any ideas or wishes or that we can turn into a project?
Are we currently doing safety and lighting checks in the
I'm sorry,
parks?
ask the question again?
Are we currently doing safety and lighting checks in the parks?
Yes, we have our parks maintenance staff where they go out. We have certified playground instructors where they check the playgrounds. Our park staff, as they're out in the parks, which we have a lot of parks, but they check up on maintenance as far as, the restrooms. If we have fencing in the parks, they check up on things like that. And, but also if people call in and say, hey, I noticed this, our staff will go out and check on it as well.
But that would be the existing. They're not looking, hey, there's really should be a crosswalk here because people are, and how would we do that? So,
And this may be a police issue, but I know we used to have a park ranger or that was in a vehicle? Because I know there's been a problem in Stony Creek with the homeless population and some of those back paths. So would that need to be brought to police, or is that a Parks and Recs, or
Well-
as far as overnight,
Right.
you know,
Well,
watch?
you know, letting me know, particularly if you're saying overnight, I will let because we actually do still have a police/park ranger.
Okay.
The one we have, Officer Green, he retired, but we have
Right, Officer
another
Green,
one, yeah, Nikki Artist. He
Okay.
took his place.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I was talking to him today.
And so I
Okay.
can let Nikki know, which, you know, of course, he is just one person, but with his being our direct police park ranger person, he can also relay it to the rest of the officers to be on the lookout
Okay,
as
thank you.
well. But yeah, but thank you for
I
letting me
didn't know that.
And Sandra, I was thinking that it would be nice if we were to do something with programs as well. So we always talk about the facilities and the crosswalks and the parks, but Parks and Rec also has a very wide variety of programs that we could help sponsor or participate in, support you with programs. Like I know they used to do like the Hoops to Troops, that was a big thing, or, you know, just anything that you'd like to see, that we could support and bring to Parks and Rec or help them support it in any way. Like to do some programs.
Well, I always say, whenever we do special events, we can never have enough volunteers, that for sure. Which they kind of put on hold with COVID, but we're trying to get them back
And
started
that may
up.
be it. I might just be like, I want to go do something social.
Now, I want to say something. While we're on this part, I think that at one point, we were going out to do an assessment of the parks. I really want to get back to that, because it would, and I know, you know, we got hit with not having a quorum. Then, you know, this COVID thing hit. And I think a good way to gauge what we may need to do out there is put our eyes on it. And is that something that we could get back to doing, or is that
That's
still out
definitely
of the
something
question?
we can do, and we could do it one of two ways. So to update everyone, what Maurice is talking about is we had discussed doing a parks tour, because at the time, we did have some newer members on board, and, you know, for instance, I go to Herman Park every day. I know at one point, Sandra, she was going to Herman Park every day, but just to have a different set of eyes look at it, and also it was going to be some of our Parks Recreation staff. So if there's a question of, well, you know, why do you have this sidewalk here? Or why do you have this playground oriented this way? Our staff could help answer those questions as far as why the design was the way it was. When we were originally going to do it, I think first we ran into bad weather, then something came up where we weren't going to have enough members, then COVID hit. And of course, when COVID hit, it's like we couldn't be together. So with all that said, and because I've had a conversation with Maurice about this a couple of times, it is definitely still on the table. I think it's still a great idea for us to do that. So with that said, you know, we have a couple of options. With, of course, you know, the vaccines and stuff going out now, more and more people are getting vaccinated, and the governor has been easing restrictions, so we can look to do it further down the line, like potentially in the fall. Or if it's something everybody wants to do now, it can still be done a couple of ways where, you know, I don't want to say caravan, but, you know, a couple of us get in, you know, vehicles, and that way we do have our Parks Recreation bus. But if everyone shows up, I'm looking at like the seating arrangement, because of course it'd be one person to a seat, and if we go every other seat, we can still get most of the members on the bus. We may not be able to get every member on the bus as far as like the arrangements, everybody being masked, and we're in an enclosed environment. But with that parks tour, again, we would go to each park, get out, walk around, look at the things, get back in the vehicle, go to the next location. So it's not a 10-minute thing, it's more of like a 4-hour thing. So with that, we were originally looking at potentially a Saturday to do it. Like I said, with that in mind, we did one a few years back, and it was more of a drive around. I think the day started off kind of rainy, but it was just more of a drive around. But for this one, and like I said, this one, we were going to go to the park, stop, let everybody get out, look at the amenities, then get back on the bus, go to another park, stop, get out, let everybody, you know, see what we have there. So it's like
What's the number of parks that we have in the city?
Depends on how you count it. We have at least 12, because we have some what's the word I want to use? Because not all of our parks have play equipment in it. So we have some natural park areas. So for instance, I'll use the example of Henry C. Mitchell. We still classify that as a park, but there's no pieces of playground equipment. Henry C. Mitchell, for those of you that don't know, is like on the backside of Whitfield Drive. H.V. Brown is at the front, but Henry C. Mitchell is between, it's a very, I guess some people call it a pocket park in larger cities. Small park, has some playground equipment between two homes, railroad tracks, industrial behind it. At the time, the kids that were in the neighborhood, they had grown up. It was more older people, and this was before everything got flooded with Matthew,
Right.
unfortunately.
Orchard Street.
But
Off of Orchard Street, right? Yeah.
and so, you know, talking with the neighbors there at the time, you know, of course, like I said, they were older, and actually, when you drove by there, if you didn't know any better, you would think that the playground belonged to one of the homes because of
Okay.
where it was situated. But what we ended up doing is we pulled up the playground equipment and the pieces that were salvageable, we actually added to H.B. Brown Park, which is why, if, you know, those, wow, the park got bigger, it's because the playground equipment was there all along, it was just what I call like on the backside of the neighborhood. So we pulled it to the front of the neighborhood.
Well, I ask because I wonder if maybe we could actually, when we have nice weather, why don't we actually have a meeting at a park? And we maybe could hit 2 or 3 parks in the evening, we could all just drive ourselves to the parks. And we can make that, you know, I mean, we might have to have a backup plan if it's
Right.
bad weather, but maybe we should actually use it as a meeting. Because you said there's 12 parks in here. I've been in Goldsboro all my life. I can't name 12 parks. So I would be surprised if everybody on the board actually knows each and every one of those parks. So maybe we should actually take advantage of some nice weather and have meetings there and maybe hit 2 or 3 parks at a meeting just to do those assessments at the same time. They could be like working meetings. It's just a thought.
Right.
Miss Felicia, is Quail Park still considered?
Yep.
Because that's the neighborhood I grew up in. I know they said it was a flood risk, but are they ever gonna plan on doing anything to bring that, revitalize that area?
So what we're trying to do with Quail Park, because on the, I don't want to call it the backside, but some people call it the backside of Quail Park that runs along the creek.
But the highway and creek.
So what we're trying to do, because with that creek bedway, that's also part of our Greenway Trail. It's just not paved or anything. So we were looking at potentially having Quail Park as one of the trailheads, because you have the parking lot there.
That's right.
And like you said, because of how it floods, it's not a lot that you could do there.
Yes, ma'am.
Because even with the picnic shelter we had there, like on a day like today, you wouldn't be able to get to it.
Right.
It would be under 4 feet of water.
Right.
So with that said, the parking lot, for whatever reason, is up high. And, you know, we kept the parking lot, and our engineering department, there were actually I don't know if it's a grant or just funding they have, where they were working on some funding with DOT to work on like rocking that area, potentially coming back, paving that area, like I said, on the backside. But DOT funding, that kind of got put on hold.
Yes, ma'am.
Like with a bunch of other stuff. So that project kind of came to a standstill about a year or so ago, but they're looking to start it back up, because I've actually had, you know, recent conversations, because they were asking me if I had a preference on how certain things were, you know, oriented, or how people could access it.
Thank you.
But yeah, so yeah, Quail Park is still on the table for us. We have not decommissioned the park. It's just that, like I said, you know, unfortunately, you know, the playground equipment had to be taken out. So that is more of an open natural area as well.
Gotcha.
Would anyone like to organize like a Saturday bus? Because I've tried 3 times and I seem to be a jinx for it, so.
I think the nicer the weather gets and the closer we get to the summer, the harder that's probably gonna be.
That is correct. We've got to do it basically April, or we'll start losing everyone.
Yeah, so.
Whoa, say it again? Did you say I'll do it?
Oh, no.
You sure?
I like the
I heard him say I'll do it.
I like the
Didn't
Saturday
you?
meeting idea. I mean, not the Saturday meeting, but the outdoor park meeting idea
I like
for our meetings.
I don't know how many of our meetings can we do that without public being able to access our meetings?
Well, the reason we're doing it this way
Yeah.
now is with, like I said, the executive order, but if we were to do an outdoor meeting, because we are outside, just so long as we announce, okay, the RAC meeting for April will be held in Herman Park at, Picnic Shelter 3.
So we notice the city clerk or
Right,
whatever.
so we'll be fine,
Well,
like,
but
doing that.
We would start at, well, probably Herman Park we would do, but another night we would hop 3
Right.
is what the proposal was.
Just an idea, it doesn't have to be that way, but if we have 12, we probably could hit more than one a night, even if it's just 2 at a time.
Well, the bigger ones,
Yeah,
like
you
there's a
might
lot
want to.
in Herman Park.
But
The
there's
other
a
ones,
few
there's no place
parks
to
that there's
sit, so
probably-
you'd wanna.
Right.
And then
And there's
maybe those
probably
are the
not
ones that we
much.
plan on driving by, but we won't have to set aside the
Shit.
entire Saturday to do it because we know we'll hit Herman Park, we'll go to North End, we'll go to Minnowell, we'll go to the bigger parks for the meeting, but the smaller ones, we can take kind of the tour and it won't take as long and maybe we'll be able to schedule it better.
Yeah, and if
Okay.
we're already scheduled to be together, I think that would be the best opportunity to make use of our time.
And maybe some
Okay.
of the other parks that aren't so big and we don't meet at, some of the other parks that are more the natural type parks, we could drive by on our own time and then bring our
That'd be
ideas to
fine.
the meetings.
I get lost, I'd rather ride.
Know where they all,
Yeah,
Do we have a map that shows all of our city parks?
yeah.
It's actually in the back of our program brochure, it's in the back of our program brochure, the back of our play guide.
Okay.
We also have them on our website, like when you go to the Parks Recreation website, it lists all of our facilities and where
Felicia,
it
does
is.
it tell the
Felicia, are you still
address
doing the
of those
binders?
parks?
It does.
Look, it does it like something that you could GPS to, because I've
Because
had the
it's actually like
hardest
a Google
time.
map.
Uh-huh.
Well, in the program guide, like in the back of the program guide, it lists the parks with their addresses. But also if you go to our website, it has like one of the older program guides up there, so it shows that exact same page, but then also with the parks themselves. Like if you go to our Parks Recreation page, which is, GoldsboroParksandRec.com, if you go to that page, and then it's a tab that says like parks and facilities. So if you click on that, it drops down that lists like Minnowell Park, South End Park, Herman Park. And when you click on each of those names, it'll pop up another page for that specific park. And it should show like the address, but also because it'll show like a little Google map, and it'll show what amenities are in the park.
I don't even know what to ask. Side note, are you doing a binder for Tanya and Maria?
I can.
Okay, because that's in there as well. Okay.
I can get you one too.
Sorry. Oh, because we stopped meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
'Cause
Glenda?
Yeah, I could say, because Kelvin doesn't have one either, because that's what
Okay.
it was, I was trying to put them together, and then that's when COVID hit and everything just stopped. And I was like,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
put
have
together a
one.
binder, but I'm gonna see each other.
Glenda's trying to interrupt us. Go ahead, Glenda.
Oh, I was just saying that I don't have one either,
Yeah.
a binder.
Yeah. While you're unmuted, Glenda, do you have anything to add on your preference here?
No, I really like the idea of visiting all the parks. I haven't been to all the parks in a long time. I didn't even know that the playground equipment had been removed from Quail Park. So, and I think having it on the meeting night, that's a great time. We've already got that carved out. But I'm off for a Saturday as well.
Okay.
We could do a hybrid, maybe even do like the larger parks on a meeting night, and then maybe a Saturday, smaller amount of time, but a Saturday we can do
Yeah.
a drive-by together.
Yeah. So two things, I'd love to have Glenda walk the trail with all of us for a night.
The Reedy Branch Trail,
A day.
I've walked that, that's
A day?
awesome.
Well, sorry, when the nights are way later. So these are great ideas. Who wants to put it together though and put it into action? Because it shouldn't be Felicia, and like I said, I've tried 3 times. I seem to be a jinx for this making it happen. So do I have a
So we need a
volunteer?
formal motion to make that the meeting night, the day that we visit the larger parks?
If we have someone to organize it, we would have to do a motion to have an alternate location.
You wouldn't have to do a motion
'Cause
to
it's
have
still
an
a
alternate
meeting. I just
location
need to
if that's
notify.
something that the committee wants to do, but what you would need to let me know in time, like at least a week before the meeting, is to let me know of the location so our city clerk can post it, because I think they have to post it like at least 48 hours before the meeting time
Yeah.
if there's a change, which currently, well, COVID kind of messed up everything, but it was, meetings were held at Herman Park Center, and then it was, meetings were held virtually. And
Yeah.
then, so for tonight, instead of the meeting being held virtually, it's being held in the large conference room at City Hall Annex. But with the executive orders that were in place, the meetings were being held virtually.
So I guess for more clarity, if we did decide to do this idea, which meeting would we want it to be, the April or the May meeting?
I would suggest go ahead and start in April. I would say, and I'll volunteer.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'm not doing it unless there's a
I
volunteer,
would say
so,
that
okay.
we meet at Herman Park, on our next meeting. Herman Park Center's not that far away, so that could be our backup if we can use that building again. And then even if we
Well,
use
it
that
has
for,
shelters for rain, so.
well, that's what I mean, like an alternative in case of bad weather.
If
I'm
it's like a
happy-
thunderstorm like they're calling for on Thursday of this week.
Yeah, right, right. I'm happy to jump on board and put it together. And I would suggest that we just start in our first meeting because May is going to already be hot. It's gonna be hot, it's gonna be sticky, it's gonna be mosquito-y. Is that a word? Yeah. So, I mean, let's go ahead and get started.
If we could, that's awesome. I would like to do the bus of the miners earlier, if we could.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe later, because we could drive that though, I guess. We could sit in the air-conditioned bus in July and do that.
Well, I can put a proposal together and email it to everybody, and then we can vote on that and see if we need to make changes to it. And I can put some alternative days for the drive around. We can just do that by majority votes. And I have a question about the majority and the quorum, since it seems like we have an issue getting quorum. We're all here tonight, so we have quorum.
Let me insert, I think we do need to consider that we're still in a COVID pandemic and people are getting their shots. But actually riding on the bus, I think we need to think about that.
Yep.
I just think we need to, make sure that we are.
I don't have an objection to us each driving ourselves to the park, because it is in the city, it's not too far out. But we can have the bus as an option for those who want to
Who
use
want
it.
to, yeah.
Right. And then if you prefer to ride yourself, I mean, of course, that's fine. It's just a matter of, because we can get out of each park, stand around and talk, and then get back in our own modes of transportation. But my question about quorum is, it's a percentage, correct?
Correct. So there are 11 voting members for this RAC. And so a quorum, as far as, voting, making decisions like approving the meeting minutes, because we went through this with the city clerk where she got this information and passed it around, it is considered majority plus one.
Okay.
So that makes
Be
it
six?
7.
7.
Right, because majority would be 6 plus 1 is 7.
Okay.
And because we are fully filled, that's where that comes into play.
Okay.
Now, the question came up, well, what if we have, 3 members to step down, then it's your current active membership. So if we
Okay.
had 8 voting members, it would drop down, the majority that will be needed. It wouldn't be, we needed 7 of the 8 people here.
Gotcha.
But it's our currently filled seats, which we do have all 11 seats filled for voting members. And so that's majority plus 1.
Got you.
And the others have to resign. They can't just be no-shows, which is what's been happening.
Do we have something in place? I know I no-showed for the last 2 meetings inadvertently. Do we have something in place for no-shows like me?
So as this committee.
First time I knew I'd miss it. The second time was total accident.
So, the city council, this applies to all of the committees, like, that the city council appoints. It's the same rules and bylaws where it's like a percentage of meetings you should, come to, but obviously if you like miss, like what we're doing is if you miss like 3 straight meetings, we try to reach out to you, see what's going on. Now with that, and I don't have those specific bylaws with me, I have them at the office, but it's also language in there as far as like if you are sick and can't make it to a meeting, that doesn't count against you.
Okay.
So if you have, an illness where, you can't make it to the meeting, then even though we know you're not at the meeting, it's not, okay, you can't make it to the meeting
Gotcha.
because you got bronchitis, we're kicking you off.
But
That's not
people
gonna
who
happen.
just like stop coming and
Right.
stop being
And-
involved, got
and-
it.
And that's unfortunately what we've had, where some people have stopped coming. I think we had at least one person that may have moved away, but we didn't know.
Oh,
And so we're
gosh.
like trying to reach out to this person, not getting any,
Okay.
contact or anything.
Well, I'm happy to put together some sort of proposal, and email it out, and then we can make changes and additions as needed.
That is awesome. Can we go back to something Danielle said, which was, because we went straight back to where we always go, which is facilities, 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 and not programs. I don't know, I had an oddball idea, only because I'm in some other organizations that are doing volunteer work, and this is not parks, I don't think, but it affects parks because like no one's volunteering for stuff. It's like dying generation or something. Anyways, but like maybe a program or something would be like a program about the programs or a program about volunteering where maybe we could welcome, obviously not yet, not until, we're freed. But where we could maybe, help different organizations, get the word out about, hey, the Kiwanis train, and you could, drive the train if you, and have something like that. Because like no one's, like, United Way kind of does it, where, but then there's organizations who don't like them, and, we're
Like an
kind of
orientation of sorts for all of our
an
local volunteer
opportunity.
options?
Yeah.
Like
It
you
was
do when
just
you go to
something.
college and you meet all the groups?
Yeah.
That kind of thing?
Yeah. Yeah, just in some way, like, hey, we need soccer coaches. I mean, there's so many things where we need volunteers as well, that maybe that's something where, we as a council wouldn't just be helping and existing, maybe we could start something. It was just an idea.
Yeah, I would say, and again, it's been such a long time. People are probably like, what? Y'all really did that? So there were actually like volunteer fairs that were being held before COVID struck. I want to say, I don't know if it was the school system, but it was an organization that put one together because I know the city have representation there, saying like, these are things that you could do for the city. And then, of course, now for sure the school system, this isn't specifically on volunteering, but it did lead to volunteering when they have their like STEM fair and career fair. Parks Recreation will usually participate in that, and we let the teachers and the students know of our program offerings, part-time, full-time job offerings, volunteer opportunities. So there were different things going on, again, like I said, before COVID hit, where we were getting the word out as far as like volunteer opportunities, even, sending information to the base because they have enlisted personnel that, want the volunteer. And so we were just like letting them know these are different things that you can do. So like I said, there are, I guess, multiple outlets to do it, but if I'm understanding Sandra correctly, to have a, I guess, not volunteer orientation, but a kind of a, do you know that these organizations, are looking for volunteers? I don't know if something that specific has been done, and so, if that's something you all are interested in.
That could even be something we could do as a Facebook campaign.
Yeah.
Since we can't really do a whole lot of stuff in person now. We could put together a video and somehow put it together on Facebook and maybe even I don't know, have a specific time where it debuts and build up to it, and then it can still be available later, and,
Right, for people
and
to
we can
sign up.
share the fact that it's coming up and get all these shares and stuff, and it's something we can do on Facebook. And for someone has a background or even understands technology, Kelvin, a little bit, then it wouldn't be that difficult.
It's almost like she thought she was volunteering herself for another thing, and then she like made sure to disqualify herself.
Well, I can tell you I am not that savvy when it comes to technology. Kelvin is younger, and I'm gonna give him all the credit there.
Did you just volunteer, Calvin?
I
We're gonna get him for something.
sort of did, yeah.
I don't know, it's an idea.
Yeah, no, I like the kind of volunteer hub. Parks and Rec is the face of volunteerism here in the city. Come to Parks and Rec and learn where to get involved in Goldsboro.
Yeah. We could even do some sort of challenge with another group.
Oh, yeah. I love challenges.
Yeah.
So what would our next actionable step be for that, though? Because I don't want to just talk about it if we're actually thinking about it.
Well, I think we first need to decide, do we want to do something in person, or do we want to do something virtually or online? I think that's the first decision we have to make.
Because if we're talking about videos, I assume majority of us have smartphones. You can do that in your own home, record a 30-second video of you saying something about volunteerism or why it's important to volunteer. So, I guess the next action item I would see is us deciding if we wanted to do it, and then develop a plan and bring it back to the next meeting and decide if we want to make it happen.
Okay.
Then we have to decide what we want it to look like.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we can each participate somehow individually, and then somehow it can mesh together. And then we can use that as a base, and then if we decide to challenge other organizations, then we can put out a challenge at the very end or something. I mean, there's so many different things you could do. This might be something we have to play with for a little while to figure out what we want to do.
Well, Felicia, what activities does Parks and Recreation have planned? What are the things that you all might be doing in the month of May, June? Because if you put this out there, the people still have to have something to volunteer for.
Right.
So what do you all have planned that you think this push for volunteers, what would they be able to get involved in the next
So
few months, going into the
first,
summer?
right, so first for the next upcoming months with us going into our spring sports, as Danielle has said, coaches for youth sports. When we roll into end of April and into May, and again, this will be somewhat, I guess, dependent upon where we are with crowd gatherings, but we usually do an event called A Day in the Park. Now, that is specifically held during the day, and it is specifically geared towards kids and adults with special needs. And the reason why we have it during the day is because schools can bus the kids to Herman Park. And so, like I said, volunteers for that. We also, around that time, usually do a senior day in the park, and that is for, older adults 50 plus, where we do, activities for them in the park. Usually in the month of May, and again, this is all unfortunately going to be dependent upon our crowd size gatherings. Usually in the month of May, we do a Sunday in the park, which is the first Sunday in May, and that's held in Herman Park. When you get to June, we do Cruise the Neuse, where we put people in canoes and kayaks on the Neuse River. Again,
So there are a lot of things.
Yeah, oh,
It
yeah.
just depends
I can
on
go down
what
the
we'll
list.
be able to do by that time.
I can't volunteer for that, I'll be swimming. Danielle? What do you think?
I like the idea of going towards volunteering and
So you want to put something
getting
together,
at
and
the pool.
thoughts for us?
I just
for-
need to think about, what it would look like. I think it's kind of nebulous. Is it a network that people join and then they choose, or like, who has that? Is United Way that
United
has that?
Way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the United Way has that.
Which I
one.
don't want to be that, I'm just thinking,
Or are we building up towards some sort of event? Or
Yeah.
a challenge?
I don't know, maybe there's some, I have nothing pre-formatted in my brain, but maybe there's some day in the park thing we do where, you know, we're like, all right, you know, September 1st, we're gonna hit every park and clean, or, you know, whatever. I mean, I'm just thinking build up. Where maybe we then bring it back to some massive thing we want the volunteers for.
But I was gonna say, and also, of course, going into April and May, we'll have senior games, Wayne County Senior Games. So, like I said, that's
Yeah.
for the month where it's different activities going on each day, whether it's, you know, billiards one day or bocce another day. And usually for that, volunteers for that is, you're keeping score. So you're around people, but you don't have to be around people, if that makes sense, where you can keep your distance because you're a scorekeeper. And you don't have to know how to keep score to volunteer for the event, because they run you through, this is how you keep score. Because, you know, with some of these events, it's not, I don't want to say it's not what you think, but it's not modified scorekeeping, but it's, okay, we're seeing, you know, how many balls can they knock in, or how many, you know, baskets can they make. It's a counting, I guess is the best way to say it. It's like a counting game. So, like I said, you know, we definitely, you know, use volunteers with that.
Does Parks and Recreation play a role in National Night Out?
We play a role in that. It is held in Herman Park. That is actually put together through like the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, and I am forgetting the third organization. But they are the, I don't say the stakeholders, they're the lead on that as far as like organizing the event. And then the Police Department, they of course reach out to us to let us know, you know, for sure when it is, but it's usually like the first Tuesday in August. But, you know, each year, or previously each year, they may tweak it just a little bit, do something a little different. And so we communicate with the Police Department as far as when they need to get access to Herman Park. So if National Night Out is on the first Tuesday in August, do we need to, you know, close the gates on Monday if you need to set up a stage or something? Or do you just want us to wait and close off the park Tuesday morning? So that's how, you know, we work with them, and usually we'll have a booth out there ourselves.
Okay, because yeah, that was what I was gonna mention. I see various different organizations out there as well.
And a couple of times when they've had bad weather and rain, they move inside the Herman Park Center. So that was always fun.
Maybe part of it is, you know, even something as simple as we challenge each other as a committee to see how many hours we can serve in Parks and Rec, you know, as a fun side challenge. You know, like, I mean, I know some can do more, Miss Linda, because, you know, children love you, but maybe we even tie something like that in though.
Yeah.
You know, and then me and Felicia were over in the dog park, and she pointed out that, you know, why couldn't we organize basically a raking of the park? Why do we have to just wait for Parks and Rec? Why not, you know, hey, Saturday, everybody bring a rake, so why not something like that we could do there as well? Especially after we go see these different parks and we see
That's a great
need.
idea.
Instead of just identifying it, why don't we say, let's make that one of our things, you know? So it could be even just less about pointing them towards other organizations, but maybe it's about, let's keep every month finding a project that we can sponsor, little, big,
Support
whatever.
and publicize and advertise.
You know,
and-
painting benches or, you know,
Well, we should. I mean, we should put our time where,
yep.
you know, we're focusing. I think that's a great idea. We just have to identify the needs.
So,
I like it. I'd like to move away from the perception, well, which I guess nobody's even on here from them. I was going to say of an oversight type organization to more of a hands. I'd rather be the hands and feet, not.
so we have came to the conclusion that we need a plan.
Say it again?
We've came to the
Oh, that we
conclusion that we
need
need
a
a
plan?
plan, yeah.
Yeah, but she said she'd come up with one.
Yeah.
I don't know, see how subtly I handled her, but, not handled, I mean, got her to volunteer, I was way too direct with you, I learned already. Okay, any other, so that's, I know that's 2 to 3 projects. Let me just, Felicia, when's the budget due?
We got instruction to turn our budget in, I believe it's the end of this month is when we do our first submittal to our finance department.
Okay, so we're done there. Okay.
We have a budget?
No,
We don't.
Oh,
Parks and
Rec.
Recreation has a budget.
well, okay.
But,
It's like, wait,
which is
we
why I
get some
met
money?
with her about the dog park though,
Okay.
before. My thought was, because to get the, and I haven't talked to Felicia about this, I talked to Scott about it 3 years ago. But, to do to do another, master plan is a fairly big, investment. And we wouldn't get it if we proposed it this year, we wouldn't even be able to get the quote. But maybe that's something, the end of this year, after we do the volunteering in the parks, that we start, because I just feel like that's something, I don't know, I would
So-
like to see,
Alright, so-
other than what's online.
Right.
I've seen online.
So for the master plan, because the park master plan, it is a heavy undertaking, and, Councilmember Pollock, he may be aware that, other departments talk about, well, it's time for us to do a comprehensive master plan. So just that in and of itself, for us, is considered a capital project, because it's going to be more than $10,000. Depending upon how in-depth you want to go, you could pay upwards to $100,000 for a master plan. So this is not a cheap undertaking. But you can get a master plan done probably for around $50,000. It's just, is the organization that you contract with to do the master plan, is really like how much of the work are they going to do versus how much of the work is our staff going to do. And if we can find that happy medium, we could bring that price down. Now, of
Right.
course, that $100,000 figure, they do everything. They're
They
out
should.
at, they're out at Walmart, harassing people as they go in.
Right.
But whereas, if you bring it down, then it may be a Saturday. You all as RAC members, you're at the Walmart harassing people as they go in, saying, what would you like to see in your park? And you gather that information, but we still give it to that company and they compile it for us.
Okay.
So that's where, like I said, you have that range.
I think I'm learning I'm in the wrong business.
So, well, and they hold,
Park planning is a very good business, let me tell you.
if they hold meetings and they're looking at, federal, it's very encompassing. I haven't been part of one, I kind of seen and I've done some research. I would say this though, one needs to be done, like she said, 2012 was the last, we would never get it approved for this year, but we all have a council member that we represent, that we should be contacting and keeping informed. Taj is, volunteered as I think you were volunteered, not voluntoed. I remember the meeting, as our representative, but that doesn't mean that we each shouldn't be going to our district councilman and saying, hey, we talked about this in the REC, I just want to make you aware, and starting to build that relationship so that when we go and say, we really need a master plan, it's absolutely no surprise to them. 'cause we've
So we
already been
had a
saying.
master plan done in 2012.
Yeah, we have an updated master plan. and
Have
so
we met our goals?
we have met some of those goals, and that's the thing with the master plan, because again, depending upon what research you look at, it says you need to look at updating your master plan about every 5 to 8 years, 10 years max, because you have an ever-changing, ever-evolving community. So if you do a master plan, let's say in 2000, and at that point, you see where we got growth around, the northern part of the city. So that master plan is going to focus on what park amenities should go there to complement the growth there. Well, 5 years into that plan, let's say 2005, 2006, you go back and you see, okay, well, let's go back and update this plan, and you see that the growth didn't really explode as you thought it would. If anything, it's more around your downtown. That's when you can go back and make adjustments. So that's the benefit of continuously going back and reviewing and updating your master plan for me, for Parks and Recreation, how that applies to us, but also for grants that are out there for us to get. One in particular, the PARTF, the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, that's actually the grant that paid for the outside amenities at Minnieville Park, the picnic shelter, the playground, the outdoor exercise equipment. All that stuff was paid for by PARTF. Well, PARTF, they kind of have like a rank or a scoring system, and one of the things that they ask is, do you have a current, up-to-date master plan? And by that, they look back, like, did you have one that I think is within 8 years, if I remember correctly? And you get like so many points for it. So you want to max out
Right.
your point total you can get by saying, yes, we have this master plan. It also asks, like, have you done public meetings to see what the public wants?
Right.
Because their whole thing is, what is it that your community wants? Not what is that Felicia wants.
Right.
Felicia wants, a statue dedicated to herself, but what is it that the community wants? And so that's where you get your points. And by having that involvement, that, investment from the community, that's how you get that point total. And that's like the master plan, the public meetings, things like that.
So the last professional outside master plan was 2008, and then 2012 you did an update.
For the entire park system.
Right.
We've done a park master plan since then, and not to confuse anybody, because what we try to do, and this came from the master plan, is that each park needs to have its own master plan. The comprehensive master plan says this is what you should be working on, such as ADA accessibility in all parks. But it also says each park needs to have its own master plan, because each park is different. No two parks are the same. And so with that said, that's the thing that we have been working on, is doing individual master plans for some of the parks that didn't have one. In the example I just gave, Minnieville Park, we had a master plan done for that, and that's, we were also able to show when we submitted for the grant that, not only do we have this comprehensive plan, but we have a specific plan for this park.
Okay.
So if you go to the Parks and Rec website, which is Goldsboro's Park and Rec, just Google it, and then go under About, you'll see the 2008 master plan, you'll see the 2012 update, but how do we get to the individuals if they're not on the, because now I want to see those.
If they're not up there, then we can have them loaded up there. And where they would probably be, potentially, I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe with each park. So, like when you click on Herman Park, you see the master plan for Herman Park, in addition to the current amenities. When you click on Minnieville Park, you see the master plan for Minnieville Park. In my mind, that would be a good location for them to be. And it may be, they may be under About and on that page as well, where they could, it doesn't say, there's no law that says they have to be in one location. They can be in multiple
good there.
locations.
Yeah, under master plan, there's just like 8 PDFs. So, I can look on the elsewhere. That would be, to me, our 2022, it should be it's kind of a long term, but that would, a new master plan would be like our 2022 push.
Seems like it's time for it.
Yeah, but we would need to start laying the groundwork now, hoping to get into the budget. It would be, 10 years from the update and 14 years by that point from the last we had. So, okay. I won't drop that one. I'll keep that one. Anything else for 2021 projects? I know we're at an hour 10, so I'm not ending it. I'm just. And any new business? I actually have one. I heard something about red paint in the Herman Park bathrooms.
I am not aware of what you're talking about. I know there's red paint on the Herman Park concession stand.
Yeah, I heard that got cleaned up in the bathroom, and
Like
but if it didn't
vandalism?
make it to you, then I guess it wasn't so bad.
So is it vandalism?
No.
Oh.
I mean,
It was
because
your kid.
no, because I've literally been at the office where we'll get a phone call, the toilet in the bathroom in Herman Park, the women's bathroom toilet is overflowing, and we'll send a staffer over. The time I'm specifically remembering, I think Nikki was actually in the park, our police officer. He went over there, a staffer went over there, and it was nothing wrong with the bathroom. And are you sure? Check the men's. and no toilet was overflowing. So, okay, is it a prank call? Did somebody think
that
the
seemed like
toilet
an
was
odd prank.
overflowing?
Or maybe they were in the
It's-
wrong
Get a
part.
job.
And, no, and that's
Maybe
thing, but
it's
seriously, so for the rest of the day, I'm sitting there waiting for someone else to call to say, you got water overflowing at this part, and I'm like, they were at the wrong part, but we never got that call. But for me, I just scratched my head on that one, but I happened to be, sitting there with our park superintendent, he said, we get those calls all the time. I'm like, really?
What?
But no.
So I did look under the specific parks and I don't see any.
No, I didn't say it was there, I said that's where I would put it,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Anybody have anything else new? Glenda, you've been quiet a while. If you're trying to talk, you're still, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I was actually on the website looking, it's very interesting. The proposed park areas are interesting. So I was gonna mull over this and look and see what was in the plan.
Glenda, you have to talk loud for us to hear you over
Oh.
these speakers, sorry.
Let me see if I can,
I don't think it's you, I just think
is
it's.
that better?
Yes,
Is that better?
yes.
Oh, I'm just looking online at the master plans, and the maps as far as the proposed park areas. So that's a lot of good information in there. I'd like to look at that a little bit closer.
Yeah. I agree, I found it intriguing. And then I sent Felicia 100 emails trying to get her to explain stuff to me.
And I
Yeah,
answered, but
and
maybe
is
not to
there
what she
a-
wanted me to.
She did.
Is there a master plan for the greenways? 'Cause people have talked to me about, they've heard, greenway master plan, but I've never seen one. Somebody said there was something in the works about connecting like Reedy Branch over Highway 70 to Quail Park, which would be fabulous. It would be a fabulous way to, connect those.
Okay. So, yes and no, there is no specific Greenway master plan that we have under Parks and Recreation. However, stating that we had the utility easements several years ago dedicated as Greenway paths, so we could go out for grants, and we have been successful in getting grants from DOT, as well as Recreational Trails Program grant, and particularly with DOT, they don't fund projects for nothing. So we were able to get, part of a greenway paved on one side of a road and another part paved on the other side of the road. And so the next natural thing would be a bridge or some type of walkway to connect you from one side of the road to the other. And with the way Goldsboro is, more than likely, it's going to be like an overpass type greenway. So like when you go to Durham and you're driving down like the highway and you see like the walkways that go over the highway, or when you're in the Raleigh Triangle area. So for us, that would be the next thing. Now, those overpass, walkways, bridges, what you want to call them, are not cheap. They are fairly expensive, but it is like on DOT's radar. But with that said, that may be something 20 years down the road, and it's all about, I guess, the usage. If we could show that people are definitely using it, and, DOT's phone starts blowing up, and, they have funding, then that project may be pushed up to where instead of it being, 25 years down the line, it may be something that happens in 5 years. But yeah, when we went out and got the grants, the fact that DOT did award us those grants, we knew that it was on their radar, but it's just a question of when. Not to get off the subject too much, but like the widening project with Central Heights and Berkeley, I mean, that's been discussed forever. And I think we were starting to get someplace with it, then COVID hit, so it got delayed, but I think they're still trying to move forward with that. So there are all these projects that DOT has as far as when they spec out or when they, expect to have it done. But if anybody wants to hit Powerball and give us money for it, I'll take it.
All right, anybody else have anything new? The farmer, you got anything?
You know, I was trying to find the plan.
I can send you the link.
It's listed under,
It's on our website, so goldsboroparksandrec.com.
okay. Oh, I did not, okay.
As soon as I find the email, I will email it to everybody. All right. Nobody else has anything else? I need a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
She finally got one in first.
No one else was jumping.
No second, third, fourth this time for her. And do I have a second? All right, all in favor? Third Tuesday of April in Herman Park as of now. Watch your emails. You will also be getting a call beforehand as a reminder. We want to keep the momentum going. All right.